Okay. Continuing on the topic of Ve'ahavta l'recha kamocha, loving our fellow, loving our neighbor as ourselves. The first part of this is we can only really love our fellow, the human being next to us, when we fully accept and love ourselves. Because how could I love my fellow as myself if I don't love myself? And so, a lot of times there's judgment put onto another. We'll have judgments about how people look or whatever the judgment is that we're setting upon the other. How can we see that as a mirror reflection for ourselves and seeing where we are lacking love in ourselves, where we are judging ourselves, where we have needs and desires that are not being met, and why these feelings and judgments are coming up to begin with. And so, the first step in loving the other, loving the human being in front of us, whether that is our spouse or our child or the stranger walking by the street, we are all one. So it's very important that we love anyone and everyone, from the stranger to the person who's closest to us in this world, including our enemies, because our enemies bring us greater than most people in the world, okay? It begins with loving ourselves. And what does that mean? That the enemy within us, the part of us that we hate so deeply, that we have not found love for yet, the part of us that is so angry, sad, resentful, grieving, there's shame there are shadows there. Breathe it in. God, source, my highest self, what will it take for me to love and accept these parts of me as well? Because everything outside of us is completely a holographic mirror for our internal world. When we're looking at someone, it's not the person in front of us, it's our projection of ourselves onto that person in front of us. So how can we see the mirror reflection outside of us as almost the best hint or game or signs ever to just point right back in and say, whoa, there are parts of me here that are not being met. There are parts of me here that are not loved, that are whatever our story is in that moment, right? And can I breathe here? And it's okay to be here. Because there's a type of therapy, internal family systems, IFS, where we have a whole family inside of us. We have the little child, and we have the protectors, and we have the people, the parts of us that are in exile. And so we have a whole family inside of us, inside of a living room, trying to get along, and they're all fighting. And so this is projecting outside of us, where the world is not always in peace, as we see on a pretty regular basis nowadays. And how do we create peace outside of us? Is by first creating peace within us. And so, how can we see that all the parts that are here, that are showing up, from the inner child that's really hurting, to the protector who seems so angry and seems so overprotective, but is really just trying to protect that part of us that has never been protected? And how can all of these parts of us in the living room come together and find peace? First and foremost is, can we think everything that's coming up? Because everything that is coming up is for our ultimate good. Think all the parts that are coming up, because they all have feelings and they all need to be felt. We were never taught as children in school how to feel our feelings. So all these parts of us need to feel what they never were allowed to feel. Now we're adults and we have the capabilities of allowing them to feel. And they have the ability to give us the deepest, most beautiful, sweetest truths about ourselves that are hidden underneath the surface. But how do we get there? By first feeling. So we're going to stop here for right now. I give us the blessing that we can take 5 minutes today, and you could take these few minutes every day of your life if you so desire, to sit with ourselves. Put your hands on your heart, put your hands on your belly, put Put your hands wherever you want. You can put them up in the air if you want to. And simply breathe. And notice what comes up. Are you fearful? Are you anxious? Is sadness coming up? Is anger? And without pushing it away, welcome it in. Just like you would welcome a stranger in and help them if they seem to be having, or someone that you love, you'd be like, how can I help you? How can I be there to support you? So the parts of you also need that. If you want to love the person in front of you, you have to first love yourself. And so welcome whatever comes up. Feel your feelings, because once you feel them, they will pass. But whatever you resist persists. We know this. This is known. And I bless you to know that underneath the surface of these feelings, of whatever comes up, of these parts of ourselves, is the deepest, sweetest knowing of your soul that wants to give you the most beautiful message you've probably ever heard in your whole life. And I bless you to get there. And I bless you to listen to that still and silent voice within, and to have the courage to do so.